All right, so John and I are just starting out this morning. We're going to be going from Horseshoe Meadow here over to Rocky Basin Lakes, and hopefully we'll go on over to Soldier Lake and then up to Mount Langley and back to Cottonwood Lakes and then back here to the car. Should take us about 4 days. All right, so off we go. All right, so my hiking friend John and I just made the pass at Cottonwood. It would be the Cottonwood Pass. It's actually just up from Horseshoe Meadow. And we're now headed off to the Rocky Basin Lakes. And we're making decent time. It's nice and cool. In fact, it's almost jacket weather. Well, you only need to walk just a little bit through past the Cottonwood pass, and you come up to this little draw here where you're looking down into the big Whitney Meadow, and that's where we'll be headed. We were just arriving to the big Whitney Meadow, had some lunch on the way down from Cottonwood Pass, and we're going to go across this meadow and then up in those bald looking hills over there. That's our destination camp for the night. So we got a ways to go, maybe another 5 miles, but shouldn't be a problem even for a couple of old guys. All right, so we're crossing Big Whitney Meadow now. We were a little bit unnerved earlier because the lightning's been crackling and popping on top of the hill, and I think this is just the typical summer stuff. I don't see any lightning down here, but if you look in the background there, you can see a big cloud burst, little past Siberian Pass, and then of course back up there behind me where we just came from, it's just really doing a lot of lightning where we were this morning before the thunderheads developed. So I think we're walking away from it. So here I am in the middle of a field holding my hiking poles and hoping that I'm right. But anyway, the trees around here don't have many hits in the top, so, and all of the action is on the top of the hill there, so I think we're good. On we go. Don't be scared. This is Golden Trout Creek in Big Whitney Meadow. It's just loaded with little 5 and 6 inch goldens. You can see them darting around. They always stay about 10 feet ahead of you, and then as soon as they recognize that you are not normal, they just hit the road. There's a bunch right down there. This is the fork that takes you either down to the Kern River, and to the right will take us up to our destination tonight, which will be the Rocky Basin Lakes. On the trail to Rocky Basin Lakes now, trail's really old and not very used. In places it's been washed away by rain, but there are cairns and there's blazes on the trees, so kind of let you know that you're on the right path, but it also gives you the feeling like ain't nobody out here, ain't gonna nobody be out here. So it's kind of nice to know you got a hiking buddy. Well, here we are basically in the middle of nowhere on the way to Rocky Basin Lakes. This trail is mocking us. It's taking forever, but we've been hiking for a long time and we're getting tired. So there's a big intersection right here, but these trails are so unused. I mean, we've got this trail sign here. It looks older than time, and it points the way down to Big Whitney Meadow, where we just came from, Little Whitney Meadow off to the left, and then Golden Trout Creek is also off to the left, so you can end up down in the Mulkey Creek area and then on down into Kern River. We're going to go right there, Rocky Basin Lakes. It's going to take us up this way, and hopefully another couple of miles we'll have it. Some signage here. It's saying that the trail forks right here. If you go to the left, it's kind of a horse route, and if you go to the right, it's more of a foot trail. And no fires up here, as we were reminded by the ranger. Well, after hiking all day and anticipating water, John and I came up on this first lake in the series, and it is dry. So we're hoping that the next one up has some water in it. Otherwise, we're going to be in trouble. All right, over and out. Okay, so we made it up to the Rocky Basin Lakes, and it is rocky. Everything around here is just a rock pile. Not much opportunity to pitch a tent or even a hammock because the trees are kind of scarce. There's either real old ones or real young little ones, but yeah, we found a way to make it happen. John set up down there in that tent, and then I'm set up over here in this hammock right up there, and we're well away from the water as per park rules, and we've got our water for the evening all filtered out, getting ready to cook. That was a bit of a scare earlier when we found that first lake was dry and we were out of water 13 miles and 12 hours in. It was a bit of a rush, but yeah, we persevered. Slight change of plans. We hiked out of Rocky Basin Lakes yesterday, feeling pretty knackered because we hiked about 12 hours that day, and I guess 12 or 13 miles with heavy packs. And on the way back we got to the junction of Siberian Pass and decided, not knowing what the water situation might be like, it might be kind of weird to try to make that trek. And we were both feeling pretty knackered, so we hauled up early here in Big Whitney Meadow and got some much needed rest, and we're feeling a lot better. Well, we're on the way out from our overnight at Big Whitney Meadow. We decided to cut the trip back about in half and kind of heal up, because we were really bushed. On the way back we thought we'd see how it went, but we could see that we needed some heal up time, so we took an easy day yesterday and kind of called it a recon, so we know what we can do for future trips. But it's working out well. We feel really good this morning, and probably in the future we would make the days, would break them up a little bit more, maybe like a 6 or 8 mile day, 10 tops instead of 13. Those last few were really punishing. Anyways, that's the fun of not knowing exactly what you're going to do, but having a good enough alternate plan that nobody gets in trouble. So anyways, we'll be out of the meadow and then on to the flanks of the Cottonwood Pass trail, in about an hour. There's a nice little stringer or something like Stoke stringer that feeds water down out of that pass, so there's plenty of water on the way up. Good to know. for future trips. Adios. This is the descent down from like a hump full of trees in the middle of Big Whitney Meadow, and so this would be like the easternmost part of Big Whitney Meadow, and you can see the trail going across the sand there into the last part of the meadow. So then that valley up there is the Cottonwood Summit Pass. So we'll enter right into that pass. We'll skirt along that tree line there, and then kind of turn right and up into the valley there, which leads down to Horseshoe Meadow. Well, we're nearing the summit of Cottonwood Pass, and John and I both feel a lot better today, as the original trip was supposed to be about 3 days and about 30 miles, but we were feeling really wrecked on day 2. Basically, you know, John carries a pretty big pack, and I developed a migraine from altitude sickness. So we cut that second day in half. We're going to end up doing 26 miles in 3 days instead of 30 something. And we won't get to do Mount Langley, but this is actually kind of a test trip. It's finding out what we got. And we got plenty. I originally planned this trip based on a video I'd seen, but I really didn't take into account that the fellow that made the video was the same hike, 3 nights, about 30 miles. But this fellow was about 30 years old or so, I guess, and hikes all the time. So that was a mistake on my part, but we're learning. Main thing is we planned, and we didn't make any stupid calls. So this is going to end up being a really fun trip. No mistakes, some plan Bs, and wanting to come back. A little food for thought for anybody else out there planning a hike. Well, here's a look forward up the trail. This is just a really pretty patch of greenery on the slope. All that's fed by that Stokes stringer, that little creek that we watered up at. But at that point right there, it's all running underground. It pops out, it's somewhere right down here. And you can hear it trickling down there. But up to the top, it's quite dry. All right, so looking back down the trail, you got a good view of Big Whitney Meadow and the areas where we've been for this camp trip. And I'll zoom in a little bit and point out some of the areas. So this Rocky Basin is right back in here. You can see the little rocks up in there. And we were just on the other side of this mountain here. So we hiked out of there last night and stayed at this little patch of forest on Big Whitney Meadow. And now we're heading back out up to Cottonwood Pass. Cottonwood Pass right up ahead. There she is, about 11,000 feet. It's not humongous, but it's plenty for me. Another dry creek bed. So, you know, these things all show as little blue lines on topo maps. That does not mean that there's water in them. So this has been a good recon trip because we kind of see in a drought year in July what we might expect to be flowing in some of these little creek bottoms. They call them stringers if they're not named. Well, they are named, but they're tiny. They're stringers. So this is the top end of Stokes stringer that we got water out of down below. So obviously there's some spring action going on there. All right, we're arriving back here at the junction of the PCT and the Cottonwood Lakes Pass. And now it's Friday noonish. And back yonder is the area we were in yesterday. And then if we scan around here at the summit, we are, or at the pass, you can look right over here, and this is what we'll be heading down to the Horseshoe Meadow. So there you have it. That is the valley that the meadow is in. So right over here is a nice view of the Horseshoe Meadow. And it's not called Horseshoe Meadow because it looks like a horseshoe. It just has a lot of horse activity, corrals, pack station stuff. And that's about 10,000. We're at about 11,000 right here. So we'll have an easy four-wheel. We'll have an easy 4-mile hike back down to the car area. And the cars are parked in the forest to the left of that valley in the greenery there. So when you look out from the parking lot, you can see all that meadowy, sandy stuff down there. Well, we're almost back. Taking a quick break into the tree here. The pass we just dropped down from Cottonwood is right up there. Ladies and gentlemen, that's a backpack. This is a little stream at the beginning of Horseshoe Meadow. Believe it or not, there's trout in this thing. You walk up on them and they scramble. Back at the car. We're thinking we're going to go ahead and find a Greasy Spoon down at the hill. Actually, it's a pretty good little restaurant right on the corner of the street that leads out of here. And that's a favorite for us. Get it all packed up.
All packed up.
Good deal.
Making my final note.
There you go.
Back at the car at 2:20.
Excellent. Excellent. I've had a bit of time to reflect on the trip, which has been a really good trip. Aside from being a little knackered yesterday, John and I made some good decisions and redirected the route. And I think it was a good choice because we still ended up being in the bushes for 3 days. This gives us a lot of information for planning future trips. How far we can go on day 1, what we're going to feel like on day 2, where the water is, where it's not, what the temperatures are like. A lot of those things I suppose you could find out, but unless you go out and experience them, then you kind of have a much better record in your brain about what the trip's going to be like, and it makes it more fun when you plan around those facts. All right, so until the next one, I hope you enjoy this little video of the trip. Enjoy the stills that follow. Take care.